Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lost Minds podcast. This is episode 4. Thank you all for tuning in, watching any episodes in the past. If you have, we really appreciate y'all being here. My name is Anthony Eaton, here with my beautiful co-host Emily Jones. Pretty chill.
You always call me beautiful, and you never talk about my brains. Just kidding.
Well, they caught me. Just kidding. No, it's we're just chilling here on this Monday morning. I'd say beautiful Monday morning, but it's not.
It's definitely not.
We're in Petoskey, Michigan. It's depressing. Well, Alanson, Michigan, I guess, but whatever. We'll do that thing where people who aren't actually from Flint say they're from Flint. But yeah, got some stuff to talk about today. As usual, we're here to have fun too, not just be depressing and be angry about everything. Right, Em?
Yeah.
Right, Em?
Yeah.
It's so hard.
I'm very stressed out right now about everything in life.
What's going on?
Just everything.
Open up a little bit, man.
No, just everything. I mean, we can get into check-ins. I got check-ins on there. Rose and a Thorn.
We're the Lost Minds. I mean,
Rose and a Thorn for
our fucking mind.
Our long-ass break that we took. We took a break because I started a new job as a nanny, and just adjusting to that has been a little bit crazy. And then
I just couldn't focus on this shit.
Holidays with Thanksgiving, I think, was like the week that we were off. And then we were off because I was sick last week.
Yeah.
Thought I had COVID. Don't have COVID, but I thought I had COVID.
Ooh. Never mind. I was gonna play a clapping sound effect, but you can't hear it. Man.
Sorry. But yeah, we were on a really long break. I miss doing this a lot. I was getting antsy this weekend. We both kind of were. We were like, we need to get back to podcasting because we miss it so much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, how Rose and a Thorn. You remember doing this in NAP in New America? Rose and a Thorn for what do you want to do this week so far, or you want to do the whole break?
Do the whole break.
Let's do the whole break.
Rose, my godson was born.
Yes.
New addition to the fam. He's a very, very beautiful child. Shall inherit the earth, as they say. Poor guy. And no, but he's doing very well. He just had the usual baby stuff like jaundice and shit like that. But he's all good. The parents, my cousins, are happy and healthy. They're kick-ass parents, so congrats to them. And a Thorn, man, we've just been traveling a lot of driving and packing and moving around and stress and yeah, I'm so over we gotta be at this place at this time bullshit. It's like, I'll fucking get there when I get there. How about that?
That's kind of the approach that we've been taking.
Yeah,
we literally, I think the last 2 times we went downstate, we were late to 90% of the things we were supposed to be there for.
And you know what? I'm not sorry. I can't.
It's hard to travel and then to have so much family that you never see on both sides that want to see you, and it's kind of like, you guys are gonna have to wait.
Well, it's not even that. Like, I just feel bad because I want to see everyone.
No, but like and you can see everyone, but it's about like them being patient, not expecting you to be there at
they are
one certain time. But yeah, they're pretty good about it. But
yeah, man, if they weren't, that would just make it all like we'd be.
I probably
Lost
wouldn't want to go down.
Yeah,
I barely like social interaction as it is.
So yeah, shout out to our friends and family for being cool.
Yeah,
sorry for being late to everything and whatever, but I mean, with me, they've kind of just grown to understand. Like, he'll get here and he gets here. I mean, I've always been like that. But yeah. Do you ever get like threatened to get suspended in school for being tardy to your classes?
No.
I did a couple.
I was always I was actually early most of the time in my class. Not by a lot, but just, a few minutes.
I would be that kid where I was never like, I was so annoying. I was never like egregiously late. Like, those kids who would walk in like 10, 15 minutes late and everybody stares at them and everybody's just like, will you get it together, man?
Right.
A little bit.
Right.
No, I'm that asshole. Like I was like 3 or 4 minutes late all the time while the chaos is still going on. I'm like, I can sneak in here. Teacher be like, I see you, bro. I'm like, oh man, shit. Well,
yeah. No, I was never like that.
Suspending kids for being
I never
late
had
to class.
in-school suspension. I never had detention.
That just doesn't make sense to me. The whole notion like, oh, you're late to class, so we're gonna ban you from going
from
class.
learning.
Like what? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. It's like MLB, when they catch pitchers cheating, they started suspending them for 10 days with pay. So it's like, okay, I get paid and I don't have to work. I'm just gonna cheat my ass off now, right?
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 pitchers got caught since then. One of them did it twice, and he's just like, I don't really give a shit.
I mean, I feel like with that though, like you got to kind of like your job enough to want to be there. Like if you play a sport, you obviously like it well enough to be a professional. So
right.
But, well, my rose for the break is a mix of a few things. One is the baby, definitely, because he's so freaking cute.
Yes, he is.
I got a new car, which was a good thing. I'm very excited about it. I didn't want to spend the money on it, and it was like only $1,500, so it's not a great car, but it's good enough.
It's pretty good for like it being an older car, and 1,500. Like it drives really good in the snow. And
stuff. It's a good car. And then I also started my job, which I do like, and I am making much more consistent money, which is so great because before I was working gig work and doing delivery stuff, and that is the most stressful I've ever been in my whole life. Was just that period of my life of like I had no money, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't afford anything, like no one would put orders in, and it was just really stressful, and then it like took a large toll on our car, so that was not good. But I do like my job now. I'm a nanny now, and I really like that job. I mean, like kids are hard. Like it definitely is a challenge every single day, but I do like having some consistent money coming in, and just like I was able to finally have a budget for the first time in my life, which is fantastic, and be able to put like $75 in a savings every week, which like again isn't a lot, but it's better than nothing.
It adds up pretty quickly.
So that's good. But I think my thorn would just be like all this shit that's going, like our car not working now, and like needing to get another car. And then so like
the other car that we have,
the
one
we
bought is good.
But it's been like a week after week of things. So we went downstate to go see the baby, and the day that we went downstate was a Friday. I got paid that day. The dad like wrote me a personal check, which was fine. I cashed it on my mobile app, and it didn't cash the check at all. Usually it gives you like $100. So I had to use some of my savings, which my grandpa just passed, and he gave us some money as well. He like left some money for us. And I was going to plan on using that for us to get our like RV bus home on wheels that we wanted to get in the spring. It was a good amount of money to be able to do that. And I had to cut into that to get us like food that night and pay the hotel deposit and like gas and stuff. And that was just really stressful. And then after that, that whole weekend we spent a lot of money because we were eating out and we were in a hotel and couldn't like cook anything. So that was a lot, and gas. And then the week that we got back, which was this week, I got sick. So I was off work. I worked on Monday. I was off work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thought I had COVID. Felt awful. Wasn't really making any money either. So that's like the shitty part about that. Went in on Thursday, our power goes out. So Thursday, there's a huge windstorm in Michigan. Our power goes out. Both our house and my grandparents' house across the way. Get a hotel on Thursday night because we can't flush the toilet. We can't shower. Our houses are freezing because there's no heat. So had to get a hotel. So I had to spend the money. I had to put up the front for the money. So use my savings for that. By that time, the money that was in my account that I was going to use for expenses from the week before is gone because of the hotel stuff and losing power and everything. And just like had to use a shitload of my savings to be able to get that hotel. Now we're finally back. And then the day that we're leaving the hotel on Sunday, the car messes up. So now we don't have a car to drive, and we had to go get a rental this morning, which is why we're late a little bit too, partially why we're late. But yeah, just a lot of I feel like it's just been one thing after another lately. And I don't know if it's because I have a really bad attitude or something in general in life right now. And like my karma is just coming back to me or something, but something's going on and I don't appreciate it.
You aren't appeasing the gods, Emily. You must make a sacrifice.
It's very frustrating. But yeah. You ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do you have a gift for the gods so that we stop getting shit on?
I can, like, next time Leo pisses me off.
Yeah, we can offer him up.
I love him so much. He was being so cute today. He just walks around and he meows and he's so cute.
Anyway. He's a cute little lad. He's a shit though.
Yeah, he is a shit.
God, he's a big lump of
is
shit.
Is this
sometimes.
to mute the mic? Because I, like, full disclosure, I'm probably gonna cough a lot during this, just because I'm getting over being kind of sick. So I don't want to bother. Okay. Hit the red button. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Cool. So today I kind of put together our agenda today. Just I wanted to throw something together really quick. So, we're gonna talk about, like, I don't know how people say it. Omicron. Okay, I was gonna say Omicron, but
I don't.
Omicron. We're gonna talk about COVID.
Biden said Omicron, and I thought that made more sense.
Yeah, I know.
When he said that, people were making fun of him. I'm like, it's probably how I would have said it.
Yeah, it's better on the tongue.
Did I just defend Biden? Okay, well, we gotta go.
So we're gonna talk about COVID basically, because we haven't really talked about COVID at all during this, like, on the podcast, and I feel like there's, like, reasons for that. I think, like, just as getting started,
scary subject.
It's a scary subject just because, like, people will really come after you right now for sharing your opinions on it. And I think, like, when we started the podcast, we just wanted it to be, like, a smooth transition and to not, like,
more of a relaxed, like, hey,
not
let's
that
give everybody our views, and then so that
set the stage.
Opposing ones, we can talk about this.
Yeah. So
with COVID, that was different because people kind of lump you into things that you're not really a part of, and it gets uncomfortable pretty fucking quick. So
yeah, I feel like we kind of can't avoid it anymore. It just kind of has to happen. And also with, like, just the cases rising with, like, the vaccine stuff and the new variant, we just really wanted to mention it and kind of chat a little bit about it because, yeah, it's an important issue that, yeah, you can't just avoid anymore. So,
and it's like, it was also one of those things too. We saw, like, a bunch of people that we watch on YouTube just getting banned for even mentioning it, which that's something that I think subconsciously for me, that was the reason I wouldn't want to talk about it. But at this point, it's like,
well, a lot of people
nobody watches this channel.
I was going to say, no one's on our streams.
Nobody, who gives a fuck? But also, even if we were big, like, going forward, that's not going to stop us.
Yeah.
Like, ban us, like, take our video down, try, like, fuck with us.
A lot of people are mostly just getting, like, demonetized. And I feel like for us, that's not a priority. That's not a priority.
I really don't need YouTube's money.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I wanted to talk about the student loan reinstatement of that Biden did, where now people are going to have to start repaying their loans after the deferment period for COVID. And then everyone's talking about Manchin and the Build Back Better bill. So I figured we could talk a little bit about that. Just we've already talked about it a little bit, and I don't want to, like, repeat ourselves, but I feel like there's some new information I want to mention and just some holes in this criticism, and I just want to talk about that a little bit. And then I don't know if anyone saw, I think most people who watch our podcast aren't super involved in, like, lefty Twitter spaces, but if y'all know Kyle and Vosh, or if you've seen this video, basically they're Kyle and Vosh, like, Kyle used to be a very popular lefty podcaster and, like,
he's still
media person. I mean, he is, but by people that also we listen to, and there's a lot of people who don't like him anymore for valid reasons. And Vosh, I would say, was never really a lefty. I mean, like, he says he is,
Vosh,
but, like,
always sucks.
He's just Vosh.
Pretty hard.
But
he's
yeah,
a weirdo.
So we're gonna talk. I wanted to talk about the video that they did together, not in relation to the vaccine stuff, but in, like, relation to what he said about Jimmy Dore. And I don't want to talk about it in the aspect of Jimmy Dore, but largely talking about just, like, Kyle's comment about people not talking about Democrats without also talking about Republicans, and why that's harmful, and why, like, and basically, like, talking about why that's an issue, why Jimmy Dore, does that. So I wanted to chat a little bit about that, and kind of just a sense of, like, why do we think that libs and people on the old left are so fucking stubborn and don't want to acknowledge, like, when they're wrong and the flaws and things like that? Because
do you ever think we should make, like, a little disclaimer for people that might be listening? When we talk about libs and liberals, because, like, okay, if you're kind of going off a baseline education of American politics, like, people would think that you and I are liberals. You know what I mean? Like, when they hear us shitting on liberals, I don't think a lot of people know what we mean, because I just think we should draw that line in the sand of, like, what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Because we are to the left of the mainstream and what's, I guess, allowed in the Democratic Party. And they've kind of made the term liberal very loose to the point where I think it's confusing. And I think there should be a conversation about that. Demuddy the water, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, we can.
I mean, it doesn't have to be long. Just like, well, okay, let's just in basic terms get the difference down real quick.
I feel like everyone defines it differently, though. So why don't you tell me what you feel, and
Okay.
I'll see if I have any different opinion.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So in 2021 in the United States of America, I would say that about 70% of Americans are actually more left leaning than what labels would lead them on with, like conservative and liberal and Democrat, Republican, libertarian, shit like that. People who vote for Democrats, they call themselves liberals. People who vote Republican, conservatives. Okay, like we'll explain like 5-year-olds. And so, what liberal basically means, as far as like when me and Emily come into the picture, me and Emily are to the left of the Democratic Party, very far to the left of the Democratic Party. We're not super far left as far as like the common like American person goes and the rest of the world, but as far as the what's that word I'm trying to think of?
Overton window.
Thank you. Yeah, the Overton window goes, we're very far to the left of that. And so basically in my head, and this is based off of theory that's out there that everybody can read, liberals nowadays are people who socially aren't conservative. They believe in like gay rights, abortion. They're socially left of conservatives and Republicans. But when it comes to the economy, and mainly, this is the biggest talking point, capitalism, liberals like capitalism, but they want like a humane capitalism. They believe that they can take the system of capitalism that we all, not all of us would agree is bad, but most people that I talk to, even ones that disagree with me on a lot of stuff, when we start getting into the weeds of things and how capitalism operates all over the world and throughout history, we start coming to an understanding of, oh, okay, a lot of it is inhumane and it doesn't really serve a society's best interest anymore, and it never really did. But liberals will say, well, no, it can work. We just have to make it more, put more humanity into it, and we have to rework, little structures here and there to make it more equitable for people.
Liberals are moderates. Exactly. Liberals are incrementalists. They believe in, like you said, humane capitalism. They believe in making tinier. They don't believe that the system is inherently wrong. They believe that the system is broken. And you hear Bernie Sanders say that all the time. You hear AOC talk about that all the time. They don't believe that the system is inherently built to be wrong.
Right.
It's that it's broken and we need to fix it and change it.
They never address the fact that it was built by the very wealthiest, the very top class of humans that lived in that society in America when the founding fathers, they were the 1% at the time, dude. They were the ones who had all the wealth, who had all the power in their, in our new
socially and economically.
Right.
They were extremely racist and
right. So like nowadays we don't hear that addressed. It's not attacked like that. It's, are you guys ready for a political revolution? Blah, blah, blah. These rich billionaires have hijacked our system. They haven't hijacked it. They were given the keys from the very start of it.
Right.
It was made for people like them.
So they don't believe that the system, like they don't believe in like dismantling the system,
burning it to the fucking ground and rebuilding something better, rebuilding something that actually has the hands of every American imprinted onto that system. And they don't believe in that. It scares them. And this is another thing, a lot of liberals, especially ones who are voting for the Democratic Party, giving money to the DNC, going on social media and defending them. And this isn't a personal attack. I'm not somebody who hates people for having money or being comfortable. I don't. But then when you turn around and you start, like, I'm basically getting at, a lot of liberals are either middle class, upper middle class, or they're kind of richy rich. So I'm not saying that just because somebody has money, inherently you have to question what their motives are. I'm saying take what they say and do and how they treat society as a whole, because I think once liberals get older and they start making more money, they start getting more comfortable, it's like they start protecting that more. It really
Actions
does
speak louder than words.
Right. And
there's this I don't love Saul Alinsky. For those of you that know who Saul Alinsky is, he was like an organizer, and he wrote the book Rules for Radicals. And I did read a little bit of that book. I don't love it, but the part in that book that refers to liberals in my mind is the haves but want mores. There's the have-nots, there's the haves, and there's the haves that has but want mores. I might be messing some of those up, but I talk, like, me and Anthony talk about that all the time. These are people who they have a lot, but also, like, sometimes, especially when it comes to liberals, they can, like, empathize with other people because they've grown from that spot. So they were able to climb the economic ladder.
Right.
They know what it's like to be poor, but they climb the economic ladder, they get what they have, and then they want more. But they also don't want to reveal that they want more, because it has, like, even since 2018, since, like, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and these more, like, progressive leftists have become more popular, it's becoming taboo to not be left. So, like, by left, I mean progressive. So a lot of people don't want to even admit that they were wrong, admit that they have flaws, admit that they are not as far left as you. Everyone's trying to out left each other. And I think that's kind of the difference between them. Like, they hide that wealth and those wants and those, well, even, like, with liberals, like, they hide those motivations of, like, keeping the wealth that they have in order to kind of, like, save face up front. But then,
and then conservatives just watch us all and they just laugh.
So
honestly.
I would say, like,
the fuck.
I would say the difference is, like, leftists believe in, like, burning the system down. They don't believe in the system. The system is inherently incorrect. It's set up to be this way. It's working exactly how it's supposed to be. And that's why we have to rebuild and start over. We're not in fan of reform. We don't want to see, like, I don't want you to cancel $10,000 of my student loan debt, Joe Biden. I want you to cancel all my student loan debt. So, like, that's kind of the difference. Is liberals will be like, it's the lesser of two evils. They're able to make the lesser of two evils kind of arguments. And I would say, like, and then I'll also use the term the old left a lot. And when I refer to the old left, I refer to people who still believe in Bernie Sanders, still believe in electoralism, still believe in the squad, and are still very much so married to the ideas of democratic socialism rather than pushing themselves farther left, changing their mind when presented with new ideas, and accepting that a lot of those people who we trusted before, we can no longer trust. And so that's what I refer to when I talk about the old left, is just the people that, like, abandoned Medicare for all because we criticized Bernie, abandoned, during First the Vote, abandon all these different principles because we don't worship the politicians that they do. So that's kind of what I, like, would refer to them as. And I think there is a new left of people like us who are very principled on these issues, want to see these issues come to fruition, want to build a just future and plant these seeds of change. And those people just, I mean, they're more concerned with, like, my team good, or not admitting that they were wrong when it comes to Bernie Sanders, than they are about just being serious about the issues.
I've grown to realize over the last few years. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I was done.
I didn't mean to be rude like that.
I was done.
Okay, nice. Good timing. No, I've noticed a lot in the last, like, few years, though. Especially when Trump was elected. This is when it really came out, though. But liberals and Democrats, they love just they're in this bubble that it's made of steel walls, though. So the reason we say they're stubborn is because they don't realize that a lot of times they're insufferable and they're intolerant, just like they view Republicans and conservatives. Yeah. But I have conservative friends. I have friends who, I'm not, some of your views are fucking gross, man. I mean, I'm just going to be real with you. And if I hear it said around me, I'm pretty quick to call it out. You can ask Emily. I'm kind of a savage with that, but
you gotta be principled on all fronts.
But they're still right.
Like, you gotta call everyone out.
Exactly. But even my conservative and I might not even be paying them in the right light. They might even be like, I'm not really conservative. I'm just, this or that. Fine. But they're to the right of us and they don't really agree with me on a lot of things, but they hear me out and they nod and they're like, okay, I get where you're coming from. And I do agree with some of the stuff you're saying. And that's really what we need to do here if we really want to fix anything politically or any problem that we have, we really got to start doing more of that. But liberals are so bad at it.
It's not even just about like shaming, but like they genuinely feel like they are allowed to shame conservatives, but then when and that's fine. Like I shame conservatives sometimes too.
Oh yeah,
I shame liberals. I shame everyone. But when leftists, like really truly radical leftists, will shame or not even shame, but just like call liberals out or call the old left out. I have so many friends from college that used to organize with me that I say something, I'm not even directly calling them out, but they get mad because I'm not validating their leftism. And that's, I genuinely feel, so I kind of feel like we're already going into the topic of this like video that I wanted to chat about. Yeah. So just for context really quick, Kyle was talking about how there's another podcaster, Jimmy Dore, if you guys don't know who he is, he talks a lot about Democrats. He rarely ever talks about Republicans for a reason. And part of that reason, and I think we would agree with that and kind of why we focus a lot more on Democrats is one, because we know who the Republicans are. We know what they're doing. Like it's not as hidden as it is with the Democrats. There was I can't remember his name, but he used to be on FHL, which is now RBN. He worked with, I don't know. He said this one time. I forgot what his name is. He was the white guy that was on there.
Oh.
But anyway, he said Democrats will stab you in the back and Republicans will stab you in the chest. So I know what I'm I can see Republicans coming to stab me in the chest. I can't see Democrats coming to stab me in the back.
Democrats or a lot of rather people will like give you a hug and then while they're hugging you, they'll stab you in the back out and then do it right there.
So that's kind of what like the difference is. And I think a lot of like that's one reason. But then the other reason is that like everyone talks about the fucking Republicans.
Everyone.
The mainstream media talks about the fucking Republicans. And there are mainstream media that talks about Democrats too. But if you're in like lefty or liberal circles, everyone talks about the Republicans. You can see what the Republicans are doing, or you can hear about what the Republicans are doing 24 motherfucking 7 on any platform that you look on.
Republicans aren't really, I mean, they try to hide it, but they also don't. They're just like, yeah, this bill is fucked up. They kind of
accept that they are who they are. And that's the thing is that because they accept who they are, they have a base that appreciates that more.
Yeah.
But Democrats aren't like that. You don't see that on Twitter. You see a lot of people like running cover for Democrats, and you don't see the mainstream media talking about the same. Like Biden's doing the same stuff that Trump is right now. Biden's continuing the border wall. I haven't seen anyone talk about that on either front on mainstream media. So I just it's valid to talk more about Democrats in the sense that everyone's talking about Republicans. If you want to go hear what Republicans are saying, you can turn on CNN and you can hear what Republicans are doing. But it's not the same for Democrats. So people like us and Jimmy Dore, we talk about the Democrats more because people need to be educated about why this two-party system is problematic. And I think if anything, 2020 taught us that people aren't aware of that. People don't know that we have one party in this country. So it's important that people like us exist and people like, Revolutionary Blackout exist, Jimmy Dore exist, and so many others exist so that we can debunk the narrative about the Democrats. And that's just kind of what we're here to do. It's not.
I think I've got a good analogy for this. It's like if you got like your real mom gets with some dude.
Sorry, y'all.
Who you're fine. Your real mom gets with some dude who's a fucking asshole and gets drunk all the time and beats the shit out of you, right? Okay, you got to strategize now. What's the best way to get out of this? Is it to go up to the incoherent, babbling, fucking crazy guy who's just going to punch me in the chest as soon as I start talking? That's the Republicans. Or am I going to go up to my stupid ass mom, be like, bitch, get me out of this situation. What the fuck is wrong with you? Being the Democrats, they're supposed, they front as the party who's here for you. They were like that, maybe at a better time in like the 40s, 50s, 60s, but they are not that anymore. They are absolutely hijacked by corporate cash and payouts and shit like that. So it's really just, I'm not going to go up to the Republicans and beg them to change society for the better or try to work with them because they're insane. I mean, the elected Republicans are fucked up and they're not going to listen to some leftist asshole, some random dude like me. No, but rather go up to the Democratic Party and just scream at their faces because they're cowards and you can just get more out of it.
Yeah, and I think like I was thinking about this a lot, and this is kind of generally what I wanted us to talk about is like why so much shit is happening, and we're gonna talk about it in just a sec of like we're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. We have another wave of it coming through. We have more COVID cases, and we're projected to have like 1 million cases a day by Christmas. And all of these like people are dying, things are happening, and liberals and the old left are still so fucking stubborn about keeping their opinions and their biases the way that they are. And I guess they could say the same about us, but it's different when you're actually right about something. And that's the thing too. I feel like people like there is a right and a wrong when it comes to politics. There is a right and a wrong. There's like room for debate, there's room to have conversations, but there is a right and a wrong. And I think like it's very clear that we all know that we need like Medicare for all. We all need these things. So like when I see the old left, mainly the old left, because like liberals don't necessarily bother me. And I honestly, I kind of do consider people that call themselves leftists but are still running cover for like electoralism and the Democrats. I do consider them liberals now.
Yeah.
But mainly people who I used to, be friends with or who I used to know that are leftists, like I guess it's like there's a right and a wrong, and at some point you kind of have to admit that like you have to be willing to change your mind when you're presented with new information. And I was thinking about this yesterday of like why are people so stuck in their ways about things and can't like do the necessary things to change their mind about things? Cuz like a lot of these people used to support Hillary Clinton, and I used to talk like I used to be online like screaming to them like we shouldn't be supporting this, like whatever. And I used to really love Bernie at the time. And I feel like a lot of my friends who, at least on social media or I went to college with, I got them to turn into Bernie Sanders supporters. And I kind of feel like I should take the blame for kind of where they are right now. I kind of feel at fault for it because I pushed it so hard and I was so passionate about it. And I really saw Bernie as a light that could be really useful and helpful. And now obviously I've changed my mind about that. But because I did that, people are so stuck on these people. And I think like what is it? And I kind of was thinking like it's partially just the fact that like one, the US is like extremely propagandized, but then two, we also grow up with this like idea of worshiping anyone, and like we just have this like celebrity culture for anything. It comes with like celebrities, comes with our teachers or one of our parents over the other or some of our friends. We just put people on a pedestal too much. We don't acknowledge that people can make mistakes and people can change their minds and things can happen. And I think that's generally like the big and partially like privilege as well. I do think that privilege plays a huge part in that. But I do think that people largely, at least people who used to be leftists, who used to look at Bernie Sanders and say, yes, this is the change that we need because people are dying, and are now saying, no, wait, this is not the change that we need, even though people are dying.
It's too fast.
I really do think that the biggest thing about it is like the celebritized worship culture that we have of like you're either right or like and some things are right and wrong, but like there's a lot of gray area to people, there's a lot of gray area to situations and stuff, and I just feel like these people are so in love with these
can I interrupt
figures.
you just for a second just to ask a question, just to clarify, because you had said that politics, like there's a right and a wrong in politics, but then you said there's like a gray area within humans. How do I get what you're saying, but
There's
how
a
do
gray
both of
area.
those exist at the same
I
time?
guess I mean like there's a gray area within humans. Like everyone can make mistakes. Like I'm not ever saying that me and Anthony like won't make a mistake or won't have a bad opinion about something. You can have a bad opinion about something, but like when it comes to certain things, and I guess it's like the litmus test idea. Like, no, we shouldn't argue about Medicare for all.
Right.
We should be forcing a vote on Medicare for all. Period.
Yeah.
You don't get to have a like. I guess the strategy. We can talk about strategy, but when we talk about strategy, I want to talk about strategy of like, do we do the protest or do we do the petition signatures?
Right.
Like that's what I'm talking about when it comes to strategy. I don't care about talking about strategy when it comes to should we keep voting for Democrats or should we possibly get out in the streets? Like obviously we should fucking get out in the streets if you can. And I think people are still like, oh, it's totally valid to talk about the strategies of working inside the Democratic Party and working inside electoralism. I just don't think that that's right any longer. And I think there's plenty, if you were able to have a coherent thought and use your critical thinking skills, you would be able to understand that there's plenty of precedent, there's plenty of reason and evidence as to why we can't do that any longer. So I guess that's, and I do think, like, again, things are right and wrong. No, I don't think that I think it's very clear that a public option is wrong and Medicare for all is right. So that's kind of what I'm saying is, like, there are right and wrong to politics. If you're going to argue that Biden is inherently better because he's going to give us a public option, then, like, I'm going to tell you you're wrong because you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that might make me seem cocky. I'm not trying to be cocky because I can be wrong about some things, but I'm not wrong about that. I'm not going to admit that I'm wrong about that.
With stuff like that, it's like we have data and studies to back us up, dude. And like every other developed country in the world is doing what we're saying. And this is, well, again, this is the richest country that's ever existed in the face of fucking Earth. So
they're unwilling, I guess, like, and I have it here in the notes, like, I put, like, they're unwilling to acknowledge the flaws of the Dems, but they're also so willing to criticize and smear their fellow leftists. Like, they're so ready and willing to run cover for politicians, but when it comes to the people that they used to be friends with, like, again, I said I used to have many friends in college that I organized with who are no longer my friends, and make it very clear that they don't like me, who smear me on social media because of my political beliefs. We don't have any personal disagreements or anything. There's nothing personal that happened between us, but people genuinely talk shit about me because they don't like my politics, and I don't validate their leftism. I used to validate their leftism when they were, Bernie Sanders supporters, and I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, but now that I'm changing my opinions, I'm not even telling them to change their opinions or calling them out on social media.
They're just trying to pull you back.
Just try to they're like, and that's what has been told to me is, like, you forget how many of your friends on social media, agree with the same stuff as you do. And I'm like, no, you guys actually don't agree with me on 90% of stuff. And if you guys need me to validate your leftism in order to feel like a real leftist, then maybe you're not a real leftist. Like, that's not my problem. It's not my job to validate you. And I just generally feel like that's the gap between the two sides on the left right now, is like the ones that are doing it for clout and validation, and the people who genuinely care about the issues and are principled on them.
Right.
Do you agree that, like, you feel like it's up half of celebrity culture, half of privilege? And I missed this part, but, like, I think another half of it is growing up in a society where we can't trust anyone, and we also don't trust ourselves.
Yeah.
So because we can't trust anyone, we're not willing to admit that we made a mistake. And you don't even have to admit that you're wrong when it comes to Bernie Sanders. That's what I don't get about people, is like,
well, like, we were wrong about Bernie.
You're not necessarily wrong. At the time, Bernie was the best option. I wasn't wrong when I advocated for Bernie. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't have to admit that you're wrong about that. No one was wrong about that. Bernie at the time was the best option. Now, being presented with new information, I can say I've changed my mind. I don't have to say I was wrong and now I'm right, but I can say I changed my mind. So I guess my thing is, like, I don't expect them to change overnight, but I just don't understand why people aren't acknowledging, like, yeah, you guys are right. Like, Bernie's not doing everything that he should be doing. The squad isn't doing everything that they should be doing. Democrats are not our saviors. Electoralism is not our savior. Yeah, I guess, like, I think it's partially just, like, I guess, like, collective generational trauma of, like, not trusting ourselves, not trusting each other.
It has a lot to do with personal stuff too. There's a lot of times we are talking to people who, I don't know how to, I guess I don't know how to articulate that, but yeah, I that was very well said, Emily, and I agree with everything you just said. And yeah, fuck those people, for real. That shit pisses
Especially
me off.
Like, I guess in relation to the video, going back to the original topic, was like Kyle, who is extremely privileged, never gets his ass out on the streets. And I appreciate online leftism and online activism. I think a lot of lefties or a lot of liberals try to come at the new left because they're like, you guys are online Twitter warriors. And it's like, no, well, first of all, no, because a lot of us are actually out on the street. But at the same time, like, why are we condemning online activism in the middle of a pandemic? And also, we never should have condemned online activism in the sense that like a lot of people can't get out on the streets. It's either they are physically unable to, or they just don't have, like, capitalism is making us, capitalism is forcing people to not be able to get out on the street. So, like, yeah, I just feel like for him, as someone who gets to sit on his ass all day, make podcasts and make money, a shitload of money off of it, and then goes on and criticizes people for calling out their oppressors, I that just sits wrong with me. That's icky to me. It doesn't sit well with me. And I think that he embodies a lot of people that I know people that I used to be friends with, people that still, again, like I went to college with, like y'all, we went to college. The majority of us are extremely privileged, and a lot of my friends who do those, like say those things, are do have great jobs, are doing well. So yeah, I just wanted to.
It's basically just the attitude of, hey, let me, some random asshole, go out and talk shit to a bunch of poor people and people with no money and no power and tell them that they're doing everything wrong politically. Right. It's like, go fuck yourself.
When Bernie Sanders was running, and I really liked Bernie Sanders, and people criticized Bernie Sanders, I would meet them back with substantive points of why Bernie Sanders was the best option. Right now, what I'm seeing is just like, either you're a sexist because you criticize AOC, you're a racist because you criticize the squad, or they use it as like you're racist or you're sexist because you don't support these people who are doing good things, and thereby by extension you're hurting people.
Which I feel like people. At the end of the day, how are you doing anything good by calling the wrong people those fucking labels? Like, you're not dealing with the people with power who are actually those things.
I never see, I guess, like, my thing is, like, when I would talk about Bernie Sanders, I would say this is his platform, right? So this is why I support Bernie Sanders. This is why he's the best option. I had concrete evidence that this was his platform. I had concrete evidence of his record. And now when people talk about AOC, it's just like, well, they sent a letter and they're trying, and it's like, well, trying isn't a concrete step to me. It's not a concrete action. So what is their record? How many bills have they passed that have actually genuinely helped people? And can you name them? And do you know anything about them? And if you can't name them and don't know anything about them,
it's not even about the passing of them, because even if, I mean, they wouldn't have a lot anyway, but they don't even, there's not even a record of them going like balls to the wall for any bill,
like,
you know?
I guess I meant to say introduced. Like, what have they introduced? What have they tried to put forth? Because this whole like committee assignment thing, building power, like that doesn't work for me. I'm not interested in that. And a lot of people are like talking to, and we're going to get into that, Bill, about like Manchin and like, why is it Manchin losing committee assignments? It's like, oh, maybe you guys, it's because you don't lose committee assignments just because you don't support a bill. That doesn't make any fucking sense. So why don't we have the progressives that are willing to fight for a bill and not be so worried about their goddamn committee assignments? Like, everyone gives a shit about these committee assignments. So I guess I wanted to chat about this because that video really ticked me off. And I think largely when it comes to the stuff we're going to talk about today with Manchin, student loan stuff, people are so off the mark. And especially people that I used to really love working with and organizing with, who I would consider themselves leftists, are so off the mark. And I just don't get why we're not able to change our mind when presented with new information. I don't understand why we're acting like we're 12. Like, be an adult. Admit that you were wrong, or admit that you have flaws and you made a mistake, or you didn't understand something. It's okay to not, like, you don't have to say you're wrong, but admit that you didn't understand something, or admit that, hey, I didn't know that before and now I know it, so now I'm changing my, like, it's so fucking childish to me. But I just wanted to bring that up because I think a lot of people are like that, and I think people who agree with us and people who have the same mindset as us, we really struggle to have those conversations, because then you're just smeared and you're like attacked online. So
oh, Kyle Kalinske, how the mighty have fallen.
A lot of
you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody.
Let's never sing on this ever. I'm just kidding. What story do you want to do next?
Shit, man. We should talk about I'll talk about COVID.
Sure. It's a kind of a shorter segment that I wanted to do. But do you want me to go ahead and start then?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the variant. I want to talk a little bit about COVID. So Biden, if you all don't know, made a statement that the unvaccinated should prepare for a winter of severe illness and death. And he specifically, obviously, called out the unvaccinated population. So, yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about this and kind of like clarify our stance, because we haven't talked about this on the podcast a lot. And if I'm wrong in any of this, please stop me and correct me. Like, okay, totally feel free. But I feel like both of us want to make it clear that we're not anti-vaxxers. We both got the vaccination in the spring.
Fuck the booster. Shit is dumb.
I might still get the booster. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep my family safe, and if I do get sick,
and the only reason I say not to get off topic, I only say that because how many fucking goddamn elixir shots that these billionaire fucking dickheads that run these pharmaceutical companies, it takes the billionaire CEO of, I think it was Moderna, who's like, we're gonna probably have to make a bunch of more shots that people are gonna have to take. It's like,
I can talk about that because we've talked about this. So our stance is that we're not anti-vax. We were vaccinated as children. We've gotten vaccinations. I've gotten flu shots.
And I would vaccinate my kids if I had any.
Right.
So
we're not anti-vax. We've gotten the COVID vaccine. We've gotten flu shots. All that good stuff. But we are anti-mandate for multiple reasons. I'm going to talk about those. But also when it comes to that, it's like with the booster. It's not that we don't support the booster, because I think the only reason to support a vaccine is to protect yourself. So the booster, like I said, I'm still considering it, just in the sense that if I do ever get sick, I might not have to miss work for as long. I work as a nanny. I don't get paid sick leave. So like there's many reasons why I might, but with a lot of other vaccines, like when we were, babies, we got vaccines for measles and for smallpox and stuff like that.
Yep.
Those are vaccines that you have one and you're done the rest of your life. You don't have to get multiple every single year.
You said smallpox?
I said smallpox.
I thought it was chicken.
Oh.
Did we get vaccinated for smallpox?
I thought we get vaccinated for
sorry. I thought it was really
all
funny.
These deadly measles and, shit that kids can
such
get.
A prick.
Whooping cough.
Yep.
Whooping cough is one. So those types of vaccines you get when you're babies, and I don't ever remember. I may be wrong, but you don't get those again. You get those when you're a child, and then I didn't get them when I was a teenager. I haven't gotten them again, and I haven't had a doctor tell me that. So with that specifically, it's like we should be working on a vaccine that doesn't require a booster every single 6 months for the next 4 years, 10 years probably, that COVID is going to be around. So I think that's where we're at. We're not like even anti-booster. If you want to get the booster, cool, go and get the fucking booster. Like, you're protecting yourself. That's awesome. But like, again, these people are just making, every single time there's a new wave of COVID, these CEOs are making these boosters and saying like, oh, you have to get, like, Pfizer said like, the other vaccines aren't good enough for the new variant. You have to get the booster. And it's like, why? Like, there's got to be other motives behind that. And I think that's totally valid to point out. But yeah, so we're anti-mandate, and we don't support the current discourse that are surrounding like vaccine solutions. Am I correct about that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I wanted to list out kind of the reasons why, because some of you might be asking. So not everyone is choosing to be unvaccinated. There are plenty of chronically ill, immunocompromised people. They do exist. They are living. They are your neighbors. They are your friends. And some of them are being advised to not get the vaccine. They're being advised to not be vaccinated, or they just can't get the vaccine.
I know. Okay? I used to work with somebody who was allergic to the flu shot.
Oh.
And so her doctor told her not to get the COVID vaccine. And at first I was like, that sounds like bullshit. But now, like, no, my apologies to that person, because like, that's a real fucking thing. That happens to a lot of people, actually.
I didn't even think about that when I was reading this. So
because they're the same, it's like the same vaccine kind of. So they're like, she had a very, very bad reaction to it. Had to be like hospitalized and shit like that. So
the flu shot does suck, but
yeah, it does.
So yeah, chronically ill, immunocompromised people exist. Some of them are being advised to not be vaccinated, and they shouldn't have to be shamed or be in fear of losing their jobs for not complying with a COVID mandate, a vaccine mandate. So that's just one of the reasons. Like, I think, and this goes, I think my last point too here that I wrote down was about like people of color. There's generational trauma that exists and historical precedent that exists. That's a large reason of why people of color, specifically Black folks, are opting out of this vaccination. And I think we both know multiple Black people who are our friends. Our best friend has not gotten the vaccination. And they are doing using this divide and conquer strategy to convince people that it's only like these white Republicans who support Trump who are not getting the vaccine, when in reality there are many historical examples like the Tuskegee experiment that have caused Black people to not, in other populations, compromised people, disabled people, to be fearful of forced medical treatments, of any medical treatment that's mandated by the government.
I think anybody of any group, you don't have to be disabled. I think any forced medical anything, it can be a cure for cancer. I'm not saying,
but at the same time, we don't have
though.
Right, but we don't have the generational trauma that is deep within their body to say, my grandparent went through this and passed down that trauma to me. They genuinely feel this like primal, deep body instinct to not do things like that.
And I don't understand.
And I think that's completely fair.
And that is fair and valid. And I wasn't saying that to take away. I was saying that as like, no shit. If anybody should question it, definitely don't smear and shit on people who have what Emily was just speaking of, like generational trauma and stuff like that, because they have it worse. But
just get the idea out of your mind
like,
that
fuck.
Just get the idea out of your mind that the unvaccinated population is just white Trump supporters. Right. That's not true. It's a complete fucking lie to divide and conquer.
There are studies in like New York that like 75% of the unvaccinated, they're Latino and Latinx. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm misphrasing things. And the black population.
Yeah. Which again, totally fair. I don't think any of us are criticizing that. It's just that like it's this divide and conquer strategy that we don't buy into when it comes to the mandate.
The narrative
I know.
It's all MAGA chuds and stuff like that.
So this kind of goes along with our second point of why we don't support the mandates, and that's because they're just a way for them to kind of place a blame on the individual. And again, if you want to chime in about any of these or disagree, let me know. Yeah. But in capitalism and white supremacy, like this is capitalism and white supremacy at work. This is what capitalism and white supremacy does. It blames the individual. Mm-hmm. It places this like deep hatred for you not doing enough, you not being enough, you're not good enough, all these different things. So this is literally capitalism and white supremacy at work. Mm-hmm. And in every other aspect of life, individuals are blamed for not achieving previously deemed acceptable standards that are placed by our ruling class. So in nearly every single aspect, liberals and leftists, especially leftists who supported Bernie Sanders, have been against this individualistic mindset. We talked about it during the presidential campaign of like people aren't choosing to be in poverty. People aren't choosing to not have health care, right? So in every other instance, it seems that liberals and leftists are in support of not or are against that individualistic mindset, but not with the vaccine mandates. So that completely goes out the window when it comes to getting a vaccine. And it's been an excuse for elected officials to not provide any support or resources for people during COVID. There are many ways to stop the spread of COVID. A vaccine is not the end-all be-all of stopping this COVID spread. Though that includes like requiring mask mandates, lockdowns at certain times with pay, with paying people their complete salaries, with giving people food, with making sure people have literally everything they need. No questions asked, all supported by the government. And free healthcare and free at-home tests. And there are many different ways to provide resources to people during this time. But why would they willingly do that if they can just divide and conquer us and make us fight with each other and force people to get a vaccine mandate and put their jobs on the line for it? So I think we're against, in general, we're principled on the stance that we do not believe in individualism. We believe in the collective. We believe in community. We believe in community-based care, taking care of each other, giving each other what we need, and having the government give us what we need and what we deserve. And that's not what we're getting. They're using the vaccine and mandates as a way to make excuses for not having to lock us down and give us the full pay that we deserve. Because we didn't get that even in the first lockdown. So we're not even in favor of lockdowns where we get $1,200 checks. No. I don't want us to go back into lockdown if we're going to get $1,200 checks. Down
and give them nothing.
But our government has the ability to pay our full fucking salaries, and they should. Yeah. If we're going to go back into lockdown, so that's kind of what we're in support of. It's like this is the things that we should be doing. For further
context, like it absolutely has the money to do that because during, I don't remember if it was the CARES Act, what the fuck ever these goddamn bills and acts are called. It gets so confusing after a while, and I'm not super intelligent, so. But during when COVID first hit, that bill that they first passed, they put $500 billion in all AOC, Bernie, all of them voted for this, and it was horrible. Still doesn't get talked about enough, but they gave $500 billion to the Fed, to the Treasury, and they have what's called leverage power, so they could basically take that and turn it into like 10 times the amount that they're given, I believe is what it is. So 500 billion got turned into $5 trillion, and all of that money went to the CEOs and their top 500 companies or whatever the fuck that own it. If we got even a portion of that, if we got 2 or 3 trillion, we could have a lockdown and have people stay at home and not go out and keep spreading it.
We just put 700 billion towards the military the other week.
Yeah, and then right, and then we can send people like 6 tests each household, like 5 or 6 tests each, free mask,
and also healthcare.
Yeah, and then
people need to be like, if people are afraid to go and get the bill for going in and treating their COVID, it's like they're not gonna go to the hospital. They have they're going to spread it. They're not going to try to do the preventative measure.
The Democrats and Republicans have absolutely used this fucking pandemic to transfer wealth even more to the top and make these pharmaceutical companies money because, and we don't have the videos for receipts, but maybe that's something for next time just to prove our point here. But you can also look this up by yourself. When Trump was president and the vaccines were about to be rolled out, Pelosi, Biden, don't remember who else, but they said Fauci, yeah, they all said that mandates, you can't mandate a vaccine, and they were against it.
And they were going to refuse. Kamala Harris were going to refuse the vaccine if Trump was president because they didn't trust it.
Right, and then now
that the Democrats in office,
and you have to ask yourself why. If you're a normal, regular person, why would you just switch it up like that? Well, think about it. Joe Biden takes millions and millions of dollars from pharmaceutical companies. So does Kamala Harris. Their super PACs are loaded with that. In fact, most of their money comes from big pharma. Most of Obama's money when he ran for president came from big pharma. So this arm has such a big has its hand up Congress's ass, has a hand up the president's ass. And as soon as they get into power, it's, oh yeah, now we're doing mandates because the CEO of Pfizer just made like fucking $30 billion, or no, not CEO, but Pfizer made like $3 billion or $30 billion off of the vaccine. And the music industry alone made $12 billion last year. So just like, I don't know, follow the money. If you do the math, how do we make as much money as we possibly can? Oh, well, we make everybody get the vaccine. That way, you have to fund. I don't know exactly how the mechanizations work, but the vaccine's not free in this country. So they're getting paid an ass load of money for it. And it's very convenient that when this new variant comes and Omicron is mild and is not killing people at the rate that the other strains are, now Biden is going out and saying, oh, winter is going to be filled with death and illness for the unvaccinated. And then the Moderna CEO is saying, oh, yeah, we're going to have to do this shot and that shot to be safe, and is acting like everybody's about to die again. Like it's a trick.
Well, think about
we're watching this in real time.
Even if these big pharma companies aren't getting directly like paid for it, which I'm not saying they're not, but even if they weren't, like the conversation regarding big pharma, and I think like largely the Overton window is shifting to where, at least on the left, we're talking about like how we shouldn't trust big pharma. We were talking about Medicare for all not too long ago. There's been a lot of conversations in recent years about why big pharma is bad, why there's a problem there within that industry. And like, even if they're not getting, like, they're still able to get a lot of great press from these vaccine mandates. There's a lot of support that people are giving them now, unwavering support. They can do no wrong. Don't ever criticize them. TV interviews.
There are also a lot of these. I mean, CNN has Pfizer ads running on their show all the time.
Yeah.
So
it's
like, you're not a whack. You're not a conspiracy theory. It's literally this is how power works, especially in America. It's like this in Canada too, to a certain extent. It's like this in the UK. It's really bad in the UK. And the US, big pharma industries. The US has been teaming up. So like Donald Trump and Boris Johnson tried dismantling the UK's single payer healthcare system, and that it wasn't allowed because the Brits were going to fucking light everything on fire. But yeah, basically it's just all of these powers and structures that they do not give a shit about you. They don't care if you die. I'm not going to say they want you to die. They don't fucking care if you die or not, though. It's all about profits, baby. All about it. And capitalism is so sick, and this country is so broken and mangled and fucked up that we had to figure out, how can we profit off of a pandemic where people are dying and people are losing family members and people are having to do fucking funerals over Zoom, and just the air is thick with despair and fucking depression. No, let's make some money. Let's make some money off of it so that some sociopath that runs Moderna and Pfizer can earn a few extra million this year.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing, guys? Like, I mean, actually breathe for a second. Do some introspection. Next time you go shit on your neighbor for not being fucking vaccinated, maybe think about the other things that are at play here.
We are all raised to have this good versus evil, bad versus, bad versus good versus evil type mindset, or our generation.
Thanks,
even
Harry
still,
Potter. That's fucking
it's true.
J.K. Rowling's
It's
fault.
it's Marvel. It's
all
just
of it.
it's everywhere.
I know.
It's in all of our
being a
media.
dick.
All of our media has taught us that. Our parents teach us that. We still live in a very carceral
Christianity, God, devil. Just saying, it's everywhere.
Prisons, police, carceral systems. They all teach us these types of things. And it forces us to see people as either good or bad. There's no nuance, and we don't treat each other the way that we should. So yeah, definitely like treat people with a little bit more empathy and respect. And
it makes you look at power structures as a person. It doesn't make you look at it as, oh no, it's actually made up of a bunch of people who are all corrupted and getting paid by somebody or a group of very rich people. But when people think of like a president, they think of like some cute old man who like, I don't know, is gonna die in like 20 years, but like there's some wise old dude. I don't know how people think, but that's how it used to be, at least. And you can still see some of that like fetishization. Thank you, Jesus Christ. And yeah, you can still see some of that shit. It's like, no, the president is just, again, a puppet for industry or just whatever, the military or big pharma, anything like that. It's all it is. And people don't view things like that because we have this flowery image of you're either good or you're evil. And it's like, yeah, no, there's an in between. There's also just a lot of factors that go into that. Sorry, there's like a weird noise.
Okay. So moving us forward a little bit, just like one last point is just like generally why we don't support the mandates. Again, this kind of our points. So misinformation too. I just think, but what I mean by that is like, or even just like a bad strategy, like shaming people and forcing people by taking away their jobs or making them feel like shit or forcing them into the margins of society. That's not the greatest strategy to like convince people to do a vaccine. If you're really concerned about people's health, people's safety, as they say that they are, and this is about like protecting your neighbor, and you're killing people if you don't get the vaccine. If people are really genuinely concerned about that, a better strategy would be to build relationships with these people and build trust with these people, and then educate them about the risks and rewards about such injection. Not to force them, not to make them feel like shit about themselves. It's to build trust, hear out their concerns, outline the risks and the rewards, and then try to work with them in building trust and getting them to want to get that vaccine. Yeah. But individualistic infighting is not gonna work, and it's also like the cornerstone, like I said, it's cornerstone of capitalism. And it just continues the like power that is building amongst our elected officials. Now we're kind of again doing this whole like worship of like Biden can do no wrong, because if you talk shit about Biden and the vaccine, like you're harming people. It's like we're getting into that stage of like it's like they're doing this because they want to continue to grow their own power, and we need to stop feeding into that. So that's like kind of the last point. But in general, I just wanted to like us to talk about like a blanket statement of like we need to stop talking about this variant and the time that we're living in right now as a pandemic of the unvaccinated. There are so many different reasons why people have debunked that, and the unvaccinated population does not look what you think it looks like.
Right.
And
doesn't look like anything.
No,
dude.
But also, vaccinated people can spread COVID-19. I literally cannot shout that from like this.
It's not that they can; it's that they are.
They are,
actively
and they can just as much, and they are just as much. So, and they have been spreading it. And I can say plenty of my vaccinated family members got COVID-19. Your vaccinated family members have gotten COVID-19. So without going, and they weren't going to large gatherings or going to concerts or anything, going out to traveling like a lot of other people are. So that's Nova sleeping.
Our dog's freaking out, having a stroke.
But yeah, like they weren't going out to large gatherings. They weren't doing anything other than going to work and doing the basic necessities, going grocery shopping, getting gas, things like that. So the only reason that we should be pushing the vaccine is to protect you. It's to protect yourself. It's to make sure that you don't have as many severe symptoms for COVID, and you can have mild symptoms and you don't have to be hospitalized. It's so that our hospitals don't get overrun with COVID patients, because we don't need to go to the hospital as much. That is the only argument to get the vaccine.
It's like
it is not to keep other people safe or to not kill people.
And like, just think about it logically too. Like, if it is a leaky vaccine, that's not me saying it's bad. It's not that huge of a number. It's like 7% of people who are vaccinated are getting COVID. Okay, cool. I'm glad it's not higher than that. I wish it was lower.
But you can still spread it. Even if you're not getting it as high of a rate or not hospitalization, doesn't mean you're not spreading it.
Right. You can spread it just the same as somebody who's unvaccinated. So why, if you're a vaccinated person, knowing that you can still get it, but it's not going to be as intense, not nearly as intense. 2, you can still carry it and spread it to people, vaccinated or unvaccinated. Why are you going to be so raging, foaming at the mouth over unvaccinated people? And yes, does it make me feel weird if I hear somebody like, yeah, fuck the vaccine, like it's like this and that? I'm like kind of like, okay, maybe we could talk about this more to figure out why, if you actually do think that like the vaccine is there to like kill you or, whatever like anti-vax thing that people can come up with. I get the like frustration, but it's this like pointing the finger being like, it's your fault that we're in this situation when scientifically it's not. So it's like, it's more of like a dude, but also just chill the fuck out kind of thing.
And this is the last point. Remember that the vaccine is not the fucking cure to COVID-19. It's not going to fix COVID-19. We need to have our elected officials taking care of us. We need to be in lockdown. I don't really even like when Jimmy talks about not supporting. I mean, like, I support lockdowns. I think we should be in lockdown, and I also think we should have mask mandates. But we have to be taken care of, and we have to have the right, so yes. But Joe Biden and other Democrats, elected officials, Republican, Democrat alike, they've always been a part of the ruling class, and they always will be, and they will never want to prioritize people over profit. And the company, they're never going to want to like take us away from the companies that we slave for. They're never going to want to sacrifice their donors or their lavish lifestyle that they have in order to prioritize lockdowns or people being taken care of. He's not going to choose to do that. And even in Michigan, I mentioned like Whitmer has not instituted a mask mandate. We had a mask mandate last year when we had less cases and we were forced to wear a mask. But now that there's a Dem in the White House and it's not fun to pick on drama with Donald Trump like she was and be on headlines, you don't see that happening in Michigan, at least. And I'm sure it's not happening in other states as well. So it's just very frustrating to be in the least we could do is have a mask mandate nationwide. The least we can do is have a mask mandate in these states. And even Democrats are not trying to in state, governors are not even trying to prioritize mask mandates for our states. So it just really shows the tribalization of the two-party system of the Democrats specifically. And it's shitty. It sucks.
If you're gonna call unvaccinated people like fucking idiots and like morons who don't care about people, why wouldn't you do a mask mandate? Like, okay, yeah, but then go out and just frolic about.
No worries.
However
it
you
doesn't
want.
Make any
it's
sense.
Like you can't have it both ways, I guess. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Right. So really it makes me question if they actually care, or I'm talking about the governors. I know regular people, trust me. I fucking see y'all. Yeah. Y'all care a lot. Holy shit.
Yeah, I guess like just taking away from this, we just wanted to like remind everyone that even if you're vaccinated, please try to stay home as much as possible. Don't be going out and doing large events, at least right now until the COVID numbers go down. Get your booster shot if it's right for you. And if you feel like it's something that you want to do and you need to do for your family or for you, if you want to, make sure your symptoms are less severe, wear a mask out. Please wear a mask out when you go outside, even if you're in the outdoors and there's a large number of people. Wash your hands still, sanitize your stuff. I mean, do the stuff that we were doing last year. We just reminding everyone that like you don't know what the unvaccinated population looks like. Vaccinated people can spread COVID and can get COVID. Please be safe out there. Don't just have more compassion and empathy for people. And yeah, we wanted to make it clear that like we support vaccines. We're not coming at that at all, but it's just about like being principled about this issue and acknowledging when something is wrong. And that's all it is.
Also a very good skill to have is learning when to shut the fuck up and like calm down and think rationally, which
and not everyone has to share their opinion all the time.
Right.
A lot of people
I know people that know me personally who would hear that and be like, really, Anthony? Trust me, I've gotten a lot better with that in the last few years. I'm still pretty out there, but it's even me. And everybody can just learn, like,
just work on it.
Yeah.
Step by step, baby steps.
Just stop being a dick all the time to everyone. Holy shit. It's like, come on.
Deep breath in. That was a lot.
Yeah, it was. We've talked about a lot of shit already.
Yeah, we should move on because I have to work soon. So
we don't have to cover
I want to
everything.
finish this stuff.
Okay.
I'm excited. Okay.
Let's
I mean,
hurry
this shouldn't take us that long. Just
I won't get off.
yeah,
topic.
let's stick to our points here. Okay. So we're gonna talk about Biden reinstating loan payments because it was in deferment, I believe, from I don't remember when it started, but during COVID it was put off. Trump did it. Trump did it. So it's been a while that people haven't had to repay their student loans. And Biden, the administration confirmed on Monday that the student loan repayment program is going to go back into effect starting February 1st. So payments were paused in the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. And White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, right? That's how you say your last name?
Yeah.
Psaki.
Psaki.
Told the press that a smooth transition back to repayment is a high priority for the administration. I also saw last night that she also said that you guys have had 2 years to prepare for these payments to come back.
Shut the fuck up.
People were planning funerals. I almost said weddings. People were planning fucking funerals. Like
weddings too.
Fuck off. So yeah, but basically we're suffering through a third wave of this pandemic, and we don't have
planning weddings. Bitch.
People are
Shut
planning
the
weddings.
fuck up.
How dare you? No, I'm just kidding.
The wedding planning community is up in arms.
I know.
Right now.
The funeral homes are like, bitch. We're suffering through a third wave of this pandemic, and we don't have any support being offered to us. Jobs that are hiring right now are offering shit wages and benefits, or they're just like, it's so extremely difficult to actually get hired right now. And college graduates aren't able to find jobs that meet their needs. I'm one of them, so I can attest to that. And now on top of that, he's not only not canceling student loan debt, which was a part of his platform, but he's also putting an end to the deferment. So he's not even canceling the small portion he said he was going to cancel. And now he's not even helping us by deferring the payments during this pandemic still.
But wait, we're saved because the squad has been tweeting about it for the last couple days.
Exactly.
So,
but I also wanted to mention, yes, all that shit sucks. We can complain about it, but why are people acting like they're fucking surprised?
I know.
And that's like, it's almost as if leftists told y'all that Biden was going to do absolutely nothing for you. It's almost as if he was campaigning when he made those promises. And he's a politician, so duh. It's almost as if, there was no effort to guarantee that we would have student debt cancellation during the general election from elected progressives or Bernie Sanders or any of you motherfuckers that voted for him. So why are we surprised? Like, this is what we all expected this. So many people were like, I really thought he was going to, the one issue, I really thought he was going to cancel student loan debt. Fuck off. Suck my big toe. Okay? No, you didn't. And if you did learn, please retain it in your brain and learn, because this happens every single time. And people told y'all, people warned everyone about this. But also, like, why are we talking about these loan repayments when we should be talking about how we can force Biden to cancel student debt?
Yeah.
People are so upset about, I agree. There should be a deferment, at least for right now. But also, why the fuck do I have to repay my student debt in the first place?
Right.
And that's the difference between, like we said, liberals and leftists. The system that shouldn't be how it is. So, of course, this policy is getting pushed further and further to the right because in the ratchet effect that we talked about is in full force, because we're now getting to the incremental of like, well, instead of, we can't focus on him canceling student loan debt right now because we have to get the deferment payments. We have to get that. It's pushing it further and further to the right. We're not focusing anymore on canceling student loan debt. Now we're talking about deferring student loan payments. So neoliberalism and incrementalism is a threat to left policy. And this is precisely why, if we allow them to continue to move the needle to the right and lessen our policy demands with each election and each administration, our policies are going to be seen as failures. If we lessen the Medicare for all, if we do a public option and the public option obviously wouldn't work out as well as as Medicare for all would, people are going to see Medicare for all as a bad strategy and a bad idea. So then Medicare for all won't be as successful and it possibly won't pass. So we have to stop with this incrementalist bullshit, this neoliberal bullshit of we can only focus on one thing at a time. It's like, you guys, two things can be true at once. Yes, we should have deferment right now. And yes, we should still be fighting for cancellation. I'm not interested in fighting for deferment payments. I'm interested in everyone coming together and fighting for cancellation, because that's what he fucking promised he would do. Yeah. Period. So
you're on fucking fire today, dude.
I was pissed when I read about this, mostly because I just got my student loan bill back and I'm in like almost 40 grand and I'm pissed. And it sucks. And it's a really shitty position to be in. They want me to pay like almost $400 a month. for my student loan payments. I can. That is how much I get paid
every single car payment.
Yes, like, that is literally what I get paid. That is almost a quarter of what I get paid every single month. Like, no, I can't do that. I cannot afford that. I have way too other. I can't afford rent. If we wanted to live, thankfully, we're living at my grandparents' house and helping to be their caretakers in order to have not pay rent.
Yeah,
and that's great. That's what we wanted. It's a fantastic. That's why we're looking at living in a bus, because we don't want to fucking pay rent. But it looks like I'm gonna have to get a loan out for a bus too, because, and it will be cheaper than rent. But
yeah,
it's still, it's like, it's so difficult to live in this day and age, and then just to have the pandemic and people are still out of work, or people are just not accepting working anymore. Like, that's the other thing too. People are like, I want to work, I just can't find a good job, or I want to work but the wages are shit. It's like, yeah, I just don't want to work. And I think that's completely valid. I think if you just don't want to work, that's okay. Right now,
it's also like go ahead, finish
no,
your point. Finish your point. Well, it's kind of a random thought that I had.
Well, I was just gonna say that right now people are going through such collective trauma that, like, I don't blame people for not wanting to work. That's all I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. Goddamn, that was well put. Especially for coming off the dome and being pissed.
Pissed.
I'm fucking pissed. Yeah, I kind of want to fight someone right now.
I know.
I always do. I'm always down.
And it's partially because Biden is doing this, but it's also partially because the fucking, like I said, the discourse is so far off the mark. I don't understand what.
I'd rather have diarrhea shit on my whole entire body than read the discourse right now. I'm serious.
It's awful. And I honestly, I'm so thankful for my Twitter. Y'all, anyone who I follow on Twitter who follows me, I really appreciate you guys, because you guys saved my life. Dude. I love my Twitter. I love that I have just like complete full flood, like radical lefties on my Twitter. And it's literally a safe haven. My Facebook is my hellscape. It is my hellscape. I don't ever go on Facebook unless I'm watching Facebook Watch, because I do like Facebook videos, but
Facebook is so bad.
But Facebook is awful. I fucking hate. If you're on my Facebook, fuck you. I hate you. I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, I have deleted. I have unfriended so many people. I have unfriended so many people from Facebook from college in like the last 48 hours. I can't any longer. It's
unfortunate for sure.
I've tried.
The random thought that I had though was, think about it from like not just a moral standpoint. Like, okay, higher education should not put you in debt for the rest of your fucking life. Can we talk about that? Holy shit. I don't even care about the payoff of, oh my God, you get a big girl job and that's how you pay it off.
That doesn't happen.
Go fuck yourself.
Majority of people, that doesn't happen.
Even if that happens, go fuck yourself. I shouldn't have to pay $100,000 to get a piece of paper that says, hey, you're a big girl, now go do big girl things. No, I don't need your validation, bitch. But also, economically, like, this money is not going to go anywhere. We're never going to see this money again. And if you just canceled it and said you don't have to make this debt payment anymore, all of these people who graduated college are going to have to put money. I mean, you got to pay money to survive, which goes back into the economy, which just circles and keeps circulating. But when it's going to the fucking IRS, we're never going to see that money again, dude. It's just going to go into the treasury, and it's probably going to be given to fucking billionaires eventually. So, like,
and then people have private student loans where they pay actual, like, banks, and stuff for their student loans.
So it's like, for societally, like, okay, if you're one of those older folks who just is like scoffing at people for like being stressed out about this, one, go fuck yourself. Two, it would be better for you that these debts weren't being paid off as well, but you're too stubborn and ridiculous to see that. So that's why.
And the other thing that I have on here is that now this shit with Build Back Better, which we're going to talk about next, and Manchin, everyone's going to be talking about Joe fucking Manchin, and it's going to overshadow any conversation from elected progressives and then just in general, like lefties, about what's going on right now.
The discourse around this has been worse than fucking COVID almost.
Because I saw an article where Pramila Jaya, or was it Rashida Tlaib? I think it was Rashida Tlaib. She was like, I am going to be extremely vocal about this. I am going to talk about the student debt stuff. And I haven't heard shit, because it's like, now we're all talking about Joe Manchin because of what happened yesterday. So it doesn't, no, like it's not enough to be vocal. Like I know that a few, and that's the shit that pisses me off too as an organizer, as someone who's organized for 5 years, who has worked with professional organizations and student organizations. Sending a letter, like a lot of these organizations, like the debt, I don't know if it's the Debt Collective specifically, but organizations like that focus on student loan debt and like the ACLU, they've all partnered up to send a strongly worded letter to Joe Biden about this. And it's like, you guys fucking suck. You guys could be organizing a protest. You guys could be organizing online events. You guys could be organizing phone calls, phone banking, all this shit. And it's just not happening. So it's very frustrating. It sucks. If you have student loan debt, I feel you. I'm so sorry. We're in this together.
But also, I dodged the whole scam.
Maybe choose to don't pay it and then say fuck your credit and then just buy a bus like me. I don't know.
Just everybody collectively, just don't do it. What are they going to do? Ruin the credit of every American? No.
I mean,
they probably
kind of already are right now.
They actually probably would do that.
So yeah, I mean, like just do whatever's best for you. But at the same time, I'm so sorry for you because I'm also very stressed out about this shit, and we shouldn't have to go through it. So. If you can support like local organizations or call your elected officials or something, I wish that we had a platform right now and people like a lot of people did watch the show because I would love to organize some stuff for at least our following to make calls and do stuff. So all in good time. But yeah, I would definitely love for that to be a part of this podcast, is for us to actually use the people who follow us and watch us to do some really cool fucking actions. So. Okay, so wanting to move on to Build Back Better. If you didn't know, Joe Manchin basically like rejected Build Back Better again, said he was going to vote no, after saying he was going to vote yes. This happened like yesterday.
And Build Back Better is what specifically? It's for infrastructure and like child care.
It's basically
it's like the big two big things. Right?
It's a lot of it's basically Build Back Better is they're trying to get Joe Biden's whole agenda in this one bill. That's what they want. That's why it's so watered down and just it's shit, right? So they're trying to do everything in one, and it's just not working. So Build Back Better is still trash. There are provisions for the fossil fuel industry and tax credits for the fossil fuel industry. These childcare tax credits aren't good enough. And I think we talked about this in an episode before. It's all meritocracy bullshit of you have to fit into these there's 20 billion different rules, and there's a bunch of red tape of how you fit into getting the credits and the free preschool, and the list goes on. And if you get solar panels, you get a tax credit, and that's going to save climate change, right? So that's kind of what we're at. And all of these progressive provisions that have been watered down are being framed as progressive to kind of further propagandize everyone into believing that this is actually a really good policy. It's not in the first place, and we shouldn't be pissed off.
Real quick, if you can, try to hold your mic like I am.
Can you hear me better?
I have this.
I can't.
Oh, you can't? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. It was banging on the table.
Oh. So I can't. So, yeah, everything's being watered down, and so basically it's kind of like further propagandizing the country. Like, this is being seen as a really good bill. It's not. We shouldn't be pissed off that Joe Manchin isn't voting for it in general. Progressives shouldn't be voting for it either. So yeah, just the idea that Biden would ever truly like pass a like truly progressive policy, especially with elected progressives' complete support and admiration, is bullshit. Laughable. If he was going to pass something that's truly progressive, they would have to be lighting his hair on fire, and they're choosing not to. So you know for a fact that this is not progressive.
They have to be making his professional life a living fucking hell.
So elected progressives and their supporters are really pissed off, obviously, at Manchin right now. Everyone's talking about Manchin for quotes. I tried to find the Jamal Bowman tweet because I swear I saw it. It was someone who tweeted it. Basically, they were saying literally like, how dare you not support Biden's agenda? So they're pissed off at people for not supporting and uplifting Biden's agenda, and they have it all wrong, just right from the get.
Beautiful.
So again, why are we focusing on Joe Biden's agenda instead of holding him accountable to doing left policies? We all, like when we elected him, also we were going to push him farther left. So why are we caving to his agenda? We should be pushing his agenda left, or forcing him to be accountable to left policies.
Well, like, and
instead.
even now you see Bernie, who's like, I saw a post something about him bitching about when we have total opposition from Republicans, we can't have one or two Democrats, blah blah blah. We have to be united. It's like, wait a second. I thought we've spent the last 5 years, Bernie, talking about how awful this party is and how fucked up it is. But now, we got to be, we got to be a unified front now. It's like,
He always was that way, and he just hit it really well.
That dude just needs to go retire and fucking make maple syrup in fucking Vermont or whatever.
He might be really good at making maple syrup. I'd support him in that. Yeah,
I'd eat some of Bernie's syrup. It sounds
so also furthermore, like, why are elected progressives so hellbent on playing nice with moderate Democrats? Like, this is obviously not working. Again, like, why are we not pushing them to be further left? Why are their supporters not seeing that there's a strong, like, being the strong opposition is the only good strategy? It's the only strategy. There is no other strategy. It is the only strategy. And it's almost as if they benefit, like, again, it's almost as if they benefit from being in a position of power, and therefore will do nothing to potentially lose that opportunity to have power. So again, like, they're not interested in playing hardball with moderate Democrats. They like where they're sitting. They like their cushy salaries. They like their healthcare benefits. They don't care. And since when did it become a good thing to run PR for Joe Biden? Like, we're seeing progressives talk about, like, how Biden is inherently trustworthy and competent or virtuous because he's passing this bill and he's, like, putting through this bill, which is just bullshit. And one thing that I really wanted to talk to you about, because I think it's really interesting, is that Bernie is now tweeting and arguing that Schumer should put Build Back Better on the floor for a vote and let Manchin show to the world where he stands. And where was that energy with any other progressive policy, including especially force the vote? So that was violence when we talked about force the vote.
It was a
but it's okay
idea
when it's not a good idea when it's a left policy like Medicare for All that you guys said you fucking supported, but it is okay when you're trying to pass Biden's agenda. So what was the point of the whole, like, we're pushing Biden left kind of strategy? What was the whole, is it to save face and do the clout thing? Yes.
It was lick your fingers, see where the wind's blowing.
Yep. It's not socially acceptable anymore to not be a leftist. And it's bullshit. We should all be calling it out if you're a leftist. So that just pissed me off, like, honestly. And they're all doing it. It's not just Bernie saying it. They're all saying that, and it's bullshit. It's not bullshit like it's a bad strategy. It's a good strategy. But they should be doing it for other things, and they're choosing not to.
Which shows that they knew the strategy existed then.
Right.
they played ignorant. They were like, "Oh, we didn't think about this.
They didn't want to go against Mama Bear.
It's too late now."
Right.
It's like, no, they just didn't. They just didn't want to.
And I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot, but just because
I
wrote these notes. But ultimately, the only difference between, I wanted to point this out, the only difference between the power that elected progressives and moderates have versus moderates in the party, so AOC versus Joe Manchin, is that there's a difference of willingness to be at the forefront of forcing their will. So let me say that there's a difference of willingness to be at the forefront of forcing their will. So Manchin is willing to be the first to take control of the bill. In its conception, progressives are more and more willing to fall in line and do whatever they're told as the months and years go on. They get more and more okay to fall in line, and there should be no excuses or apologists for that strategy of being okay with falling in line as the years go on. So what I mean by that is that Joe Manchin is willing, when this bill started, to say, nope, not good enough. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And instead, all they have to do is say, no, let's have us be the Joe Manchin. That it's not about there's no procedural, there's no law, all they have to do as a squad, as the elected progressive bloc, is to say, no, this isn't good enough. This is what we want.
Right.
And if they would have done that, Manchin wouldn't be the one that's the rotating villain. They would be. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So if they tried to go at it from the jump and say, no, we want Medicare, we want a public option in here, because that's what you said. We want, instead of having Medicare Medicare, you guys get vision insurance now, or hearing insurance is what it is. Hearing insurance now, and we're capping insulin at $35. No, we want a public option at least. Or we want, better climate change, legislation. We don't want just child care provisions. We want actual, like, free child care, stuff like that. If they were willing, and it is a willingness, it's not any procedural or anything standing in their way. It's a willingness to be able to force your will. You want to force your will, and they're not willing to do that. So I don't trust shit. Yeah. You need to be wary of that. Because really the only difference there is that Manchin is willing to be like, I don't give a fuck what the rest of the country thinks of me. I'm going to go for what I believe in. That's what they need to be doing. They're choosing not to do it. So now we're so pissed off and we're screaming at the top of our lungs about Joe Manchin. I don't want to fucking hear it, because you guys could have done it. If you guys really wanted all this stuff to be passed, and this is such a groundbreaking progressive policy, Build Back Better, why are we not doing anything about it from the
It's a pretty good strategy that they have, though, because they need a villain for the public to man, this is the thing, is they always act like they're stupid or incompetent, and they're not. They are just bad actors.
Right.
They are just the opposition at this point.
That's my point, is that there's not a willingness. They don't want to. Yeah. They don't want. They're playing a part. They're playing it well. There is no willingness. They don't want to do this. But they could, and that's what I'm trying to point, is that they could. There's no
willingness, but they also are very good at getting the public to feel bad for them, and like they're the ones who are being attacked, and it's not. So
there's no excuse. There shouldn't, like I said, there shouldn't be any apologists for that strategy of let's just sit back and let Manchin run the show, and then when we are pissed off that he's doing that, when he's doing so, scream at the top of our lungs. When the point of you all getting elected as a block was for you to run the motherfucking show.
Right.
So why are we letting moderate Democrats run the show? And another thing too, liberals were so pumped at the election of the few Democrats in Georgia last year, 2 of them. It made it seem like the tide was going to change. We're going to get so much stuff done. This is a monumental to the progress of the Biden administration. But and if you didn't support their election, you were racist and you were halting change because, Black people in Georgia fought to get their voting rights back to elect those Democrats. And now liberals are complaining and arguing that the Senate has a narrow margin, so therefore they can't do anything. Wow. We can't do anything because now we have a narrow margin. But at the same time, last year, this was groundbreaking. And if you didn't support it, you were a racist and we
have that narrow margin that we freaked out about having or not having. But now that we have it, it's why we can't do anything.
They freaked out when they got it. That's my point. Yeah. When those 2 senators,
I know.
When
they
those
were
two,
like,
they were freaking out because now they had all the opportunity just in time for Biden to be elected. It's all coming together.
Dude, and if they don't support. They don't talk about Georgia or anything in the media, and that's why they don't want people to realize that, to put those 2 things together. Because I haven't heard a fucking word about Georgia and how monumental and important that election was, because it wasn't.
But that's the thing, it wasn't. And then when I said that, we both knew that. We had people coming at us last year during that election. Because we were not saying that we did not support Georgia getting its voting rights back and using its voice. If Georgia elected those people, obviously they should be the elected officials. But we were saying that nothing's going to happen for them. No. The people of Georgia, nothing is going to change for them. And we were right about that. So I would like a formal apology. You can submit it within 24 hours. Thank you. From everyone that came at me. So I just wanted to point that out because that happens a lot. Like every single time that they can't do something and there's this rotating villain, they want to do we don't have enough. It's a narrow margin. They can't do anything. They have to be, it's tricky. So why were we so excited about it last year?
And I also, I think this is the next point that was written down, but also at the end of the day, people who are mad at Joe Manchin right now would still vote for him if he was running against a Republican.
Elizabeth Warren held a fundraiser for him.
Shut the fuck up.
Yep. Elizabeth Warren held a fundraiser for him. I know y'all motherfuckers didn't go out and vote for Paula James.
You can't get mad at politicians. You can't criticize them if you're going to vote for them. That makes everything you say null and void, because at the end of the day, you are going to give them the levers of power. So they don't need shit from you. They don't have to do shit for you.
Especially if you're not going to even try to hold them accountable when they're in office. Like, I was down with the whole Biden left stuff to an extent if people were actually going to be on fire about shit that
like
he was
every
doing.
day, annoying the fuck out of him.
Just like
driving
Trump,
him nuts.
Just like Trump times 10,000. I was okay with that. But it's
dead.
10 times less than that.
Yeah.
So it's just bullshit.
Now motherfuckers are really lacking. Like you don't give a shit, and you really shown it. Yeah. I'm talking to people on fucking Facebook, the keyboard warriors, who were so offended by Trump all the goddamn time, and we had to hear about it all the goddamn time. You motherfuckers are silent right now, unless you randomly, with your little schizophrenic fucking brains, randomly decide to make something about Trump, who's not in office and isn't even running right now. But I guess is a conversation for a different day. But I'm there's a lot of people to be frustrated with. And a lot of those people would also tell you, oh, I don't even pay attention enough to have an opinion anymore. Like, but you do when there's somebody you don't like. So I don't know. This shit is ridiculous.
And ultimately, we just need to be mad at the powers that allow Joe Manchin to exist in general, or the Senate as a whole, honestly.
Are you saying kill Joe Manchin? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, definitely. Joe Manchin should have been aborted. I'm just kidding. Well, but yeah, like we need to be more like we just need to like, and that also that means by acknowledging that we need to be mad about at the powers that allow people like Joe Manchin to exist in the first place. That means that shitlibs need to acknowledge that their blue no matter who ideological strategy is not doing anything but being harmful to progress. It's not working. It's not a good strategy. And they just don't get to pick and choose when that strategy is valid or not. You can't say blue no matter who works during an election year and then when something like this happens, be pissed off that blue no matter who is working exactly what you wanted it to.
You're fine with being abused and being with an abuser as long as it's not that abuser over there. You know what I mean? Like you're still getting
the point of
like shit on
during the election. It's blue no matter who, because blue matters and blue is better. And then when it comes to Joe Manchin, people are like, well, you know, we got to vote him out. We got to vote him out. It's like, I thought blue no matter who. Like, this is your strategy. This is your strategy at work right now. So you don't get to pick and choose when this strategy works or when it's valid.
Right.
Like, you got to just acknowledge it's not working. And furthermore, liberals and elected progressives really need to take responsibility for enabling Biden and Manchin to fail and act this way because they had unwavering support for them without any concessions during the general election. What did you guys think was going to happen? Genuinely, I think the whole theme of this episode today is like, honestly, I feel bad about it, but it really is kind of like an I told you so from a lot of leftists. And I think people get pissed off because people get pissed off at me for like, you think you know everything. You like act like we're children. You act like, I'm sorry, but I have to call you out and I have to tell you I told you so. There are plenty of times where leftists are 10 steps ahead of you guys. And I'm tired. It's honestly exhausting. It's exhausting to be the person that's 10 steps ahead of everyone at all times.
Right. I'm tired of being validated by something falling apart and blowing up in your
face.
I want everybody to understand that we see what's coming on the horizon from the get, not in the middle. Let's
try to prevent the suffering instead of having to say I told you so as a result of suffering. Yeah, I don't want to say I told you so on top of as a result of a suffering of people.
It's not like it's a fucking snarky, I told you so. It's not like, fuck, I told you so.
It's like, dude, we told you this was going to happen. And if it continues to happen, that people are dying. More people are going to die. More people are going to be in shitty situations.
I told somebody, and I'm not going to say who it was. I might not even remember fully, but right after the primary ended and I was pissed off. I was like, yeah, fuck Biden, this shit. Nobody should vote for either of these assholes. Like, fuck all of this. And they're like, well, you know, like there's got to be like a few good things that would happen with Biden, like here and there. You know, it's got to be like better. And I told him, I said, nothing will happen. In fact, Biden's probably going to be a worse president than Trump.
Biden said himself, nothing will change.
Right. And I made the claim. I said Biden's probably gonna be a worse president than Trump, and there's gonna be metrics to show that. And there are metrics to show that. There's more COVID cases, there's more deportations, there's more ICE raids.
Can I just say too that I've been talking about this since I was the president of the feminist organization I used to, you know, be a part of, because they used to do this shit all the time too. When it was Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders, it was Trump. It was Hillary Clinton would be 10 times better because at least we wouldn't have the overt racism, the overt sexism. It's not in your face anymore.
What?
What I had to explain to people is that you cannot separate social issues and economic issues. Social issues and economic issues go hand in hand. We need to have this more. And full disclaimer, this organization was a very white, very privileged at the time organization. We did not subscribe to intersectional feminism. We didn't do a very good job of teaching each other that. And largely sometimes it still is. But I tried to change that as much as I could as president. And I would tell people, we did a lot of issue eds about identity politics. Identity politics is so useful in identifying why a policy can be helpful for someone, acknowledging systemic inequities, and figuring out how policy can be equitable for those communities. So saying that when we implement Medicare for all, Black people there needs to be more equitable systems within that policy for Black people because X, Y, and Z. That's what identity politics is used for. And identity politics has been completely co-opted from what its original inception by Democrats and liberals and media. Originally, that's what it was for. It was originally called Triple Oppression, and it was by the Combahee River Collective. It was a lesbian socialist collective, Black socialist collective, that coined the term triple oppressions before Kimberly Crenshaw coined the term intersectionality, but it has the same idea behind it. And it really isn't about any of that. But I guess my point is that we have to stop separating and seeing things as like, oh, well, this person's better on social issues, but shit on economic issues. This person's, bad on both. I think that as I don't want to hear someone not say, I think that any marginalized community could agree, and I'm just speaking in general. I don't know this for sure, but you can't be like, okay, I'm not going to say anything racist, but I'm going to vote, even if I'm a politician. I'm going to vote for you to suffer economically. It's like those two things go hand in hand. It's just as racist to force Black people into poverty and force Black people into slavery, force people,
it's more
in general,
racist. You're actually using your power
but that's
to
what I mean
subjugate a group.
But that's what I mean is that you can't separate social and economic issues. They go hand in hand. So I'm tired of hearing people do that thing of like, oh, like Biden would be better for a few things. It's like, for who?
Right.
For white people.
Right.
For privileged people. For people that have money. People don't get like
they never admit that, but that is what it is.
You guys were pissed off at seeing Donald Trump talk shit with your smartphone that you can afford, your Mac laptop that you can afford. So let's not, I guess that's just my last point about that, because that always has pissed me off. That's always been something that I've tried to talk to people about. It's just annoying that people try to separate those two issues, because social issues are economic issues. Economic issues are social issues.
Absolutely.
They impact each other. If you're if you're subjugated and forced into poverty because of capitalism, you're more likely to be forced to the margins of society and experience racism and sexism and all these different things. So it is what it is. And people have to stop separating those two.
It is what it is.
Issues. But yeah, do you have anything else to say about that? Basically, what I'm saying is stop fucking, be pissed off at both Joes here. Be pissed off at the system and how it exists.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but also bro, stop being so surprised that this stuff is happening.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen, and you guys, this is what you guys voted for. And
that's
what's so
I'm shocked
funny.
that you're shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm shocked
that's
that you're
what's so
shocked.
funny about liberals too, is when conservatives voted for Trump and then Trump got elected, and then there were conservatives that were like, oh, I didn't think he was going to do that, or I voted for him for economic issues, and liberals would be like, haha, we told. It's like, no, we told you, motherfuckers. Now, like, you guys don't think that you have the same moral, you guys think you have this moral high ground.
That's why they hate us so much. I mean, it really clicked. It's because they love the ability that they have to dunk on conservatives, be like, ha ha. But then we do it to them, and so they're like, no, fuck you.
You're mean. You're mean. You're mean to me. You talk loudly. Shut up. Be an adult. Be an adult. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. Be an adult.
We need tissues sent to everybody.
Tissues for your issues.
Yeah. Stop taking it out on us. Fuck.
This was a good episode.
It was
a very long episode. Thank you to everyone who has continued to tune in and lasted the whole video. Well, people watch this after.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I was talking to my mom this morning, and she was like, I was talking about us doing the podcast today, and I was like, yeah, no one really comes on our live streams anyway. She's like, oh, I would if I wasn't at work. You guys always do them when I'm at work. And I'm like, it's okay that no one comes on our live streams. We'll get there.
Yeah. Well, for now, it'd probably feel like added pressure if I looked and I actually saw a number by the thing.
When we did our first, it was not our first episode that went up, but if y'all didn't know, we did record an episode, our first episode off air, and we never got to put it on because it was stuck on a SIM card that we couldn't get it off of. A lot of technical difficulties building this podcast.
Just a few.
But yeah, so we filmed, we recorded an episode, and I felt so, the last few episodes that we've done, I felt so uncomfortable being on camera. Because that episode, we weren't on camera. We were just talking, and I felt so much more comfortable not seeing myself on the screen.
Listen, I know I'm ugly, so I don't really care.
It's not about that. It's just seeing yourself. It's kind of like being in a Zoom meeting. It's like
it is. No, it's weird.
It's intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
it's weird.
Cool. Well, y'all definitely comment below what y'all any of your takes on this. We want to we love seeing your comments. We
Even
love
if we disagree, we're not like assholes.
let's have a conversation in the comments. Let's chat. Reach out to us. Let us know if you're enjoying the content. If you want to see something different, I am gonna try to get us our first guest here soon. I have some ideas I want to talk to you about. So cool. We're gonna possibly have a guest soon. But yeah, let us know if what you guys want to see, what you're liking, not liking. This is all kind of a process that we're figuring out together.
To get the camera situation figured out. I know the Mac.
Yeah, it's not the greatest webcam, but
yeah. Lighting too.
Also, let us know how you guys are. I always put that on our agenda to mention that people can always comment. Let us know how you guys are. A lot of you guys are our friends who subscribe too, so please comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you are.
We miss you.
We missed you guys from our long break. Sorry we took such a long break. Hopefully we can be back on next week and more consistently. I think after the holidays definitely will be in a better place to be more consistently on the pod. But yeah, as always, the links are below. The link tree is below to donate to the show if you have the ability and would like to. And then also we have our links for our social media, for our website, all that good stuff. Trying to be more present on social media as well. It's hard when the podcast is your part-time work kind of thing. And I have a job at least, and Anthony helps take care of my grandparents. So it's hard to it's just hard to manage sometimes. So we apologize, but we're getting there. We appreciate your support, and yeah, visit the link tree if you'd like. Don't forget to comment, subscribe.
Hell yeah.
You're like a real YouTuber.
I know.
Subscription down below.
And I mean, we have our Patreon and shit like that.
Yeah, we have our Patreon, which you can. I think it's just set up for one-time donations right now, but yeah. So we have a Give Butter, or I set us up another donation site too. Nice. So if you'd like to and you can donate, it's helpful. This
and
is
if I can find a way to have access to more sports stuff, I'll get my other channel started too. So that'll be fun. That'll be cool.
Cool. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in and for sticking around for this almost 2-hour video.
Right.
And yeah, we will be back, like I said, hopefully next week. So yeah, hopefully y'all have a good rest of the week, a good weekend, a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, we'll probably see you guys into the new year, actually. So see you next year.
Love you.
Right? All right. See you guys.